Yes, we are live.
We're live now?
Yes, we just started.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Common Council of May 6, 2021. If you will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
One thing before you call the roll, I think Tom Keegan is dialed in. Looks like he may be under attendee. Phone number ending in 265. Is that you, Tom? You can unmute.
I'm sorry?
There's a phone number ending a call in ending in 6265. You can unmute. Is that Tom Keegan? He did call me today and said he would be dialing in.
How about now, Larry?
Yeah, that's you. Okay, I'm gonna move you over to the,
Good Lord, Tom.
That's called dedication, Mayor.
I know it is. Yes, it is. And we are very impressed.
If you hear a beeping noise in the background, that's my oxygen that went off. Don't worry about it.
all right.
As long as it's not a steady beep, Tom, we're okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we're good for roll call.
Mr. Burnett. Ms. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Burnett is present.
Hi.
Hello.
Mr. Langella. Mr. Sacchinelli.
Present.
Ms. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Hewelman.
Present.
I'll just take one step at a time, I guess.
Mr. Roberts.
Present.
Ms. Revulis. Ms. Young.
Here.
Mr. Kites.
I'm here.
Mr. Theodorides. Mr. Keegan.
Here.
Mr. Sirenides. Mr. Livingston.
Here.
Ms. Shanahan.
Here. And Mr. Sirenides is here. He was muted when he said here. I'm not sure if you heard him.
I heard Sirenides. And what about Theodorides? No?
No. Sirenides.
And what about Mr. Langella? Okay. $11 present. Oh,
11
Ms.
present.
Shanahan?
We have a quorum. Thank you.
12. I'm sorry, it's 12.
12 present. We have a bigger quorum. The only item on the agenda this evening is for Recreation and Parks, and I will turn the floor over to Ms. Young.
So I'm going to turn this over to President Sacchinelli,
Okay.
and you can go from there.
Okay, Mr. Sacchinelli.
Sure. So I'll move the item, just a brief explanation. Approve the use of Calf Pasture Beach by the Lightfoot Running Club for the annual 10K Mother's Day race and 5K walk to be held Sunday, May 9th, 2021 from 6:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Estimated attendance 300. The race starts and ends at Calf Pasture Beach and goes through both Oyster Shell and Lockwood Matthews Park. Just to speak on the item, this one's been going on for some time, as I understand it. We are processing this as a special meeting based on some of the implications that arose due to the confusion of our permitting process, as well as the state opening on time. And this is essentially to get in front of the Mother's Day date that they'd like to go forward. I don't know if anybody would like to speak on the actual walk itself, or if Ms. Young, if you have any additional comments. I see Mr. Hughes has joined as well.
So Ms. Young, or are there any comments or questions?
I don't have any comments or questions. you know, it did come to us, as we know, late, and Ms. King did reach out as soon as she could to get us to this point of having a special meeting for the event. And it's been around for 43 years. You know, we're used to this. We know what it's about. So I think we just need to vote on it and move it forward. I know that they've been through the process already, so I think this is something we just need to approve and move forward, and recognize also that this is extenuating circumstances with COVID, and this is not the standard process, and we don't want to, you know, create a new habit for folks, that they see that this happened so quickly without going through the standard process. But I know that Ms. King made them aware of that. And so we just need to move this forward.
Any further discussion? Ms. King, if you, yes, Mr. Burnett.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess my question is, I don't see anyone from this running group on the call. What precautions have they taken in light of COVID? Because this, if I'm correct, this will be the first event of this type that we're approving that's actually going to take place in Norwalk since COVID. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. So what precautions are they taking in light of we still are under a pandemic?
Mr. Hughes?
So we have been in contact, thank you, Mayor. We have been in contact with the organizers of the event. We have been reviewing their guidelines. There will be masks worn. They're going to concentrate on social distancing. So the norms that we've been following for the past 12, 13 months now are going to continue through this race. They do know that once they spread out throughout the course of the race, that they can't remove their masks, but they are well aware of our current guidelines. And you are correct in terms of this being kind of one of the larger events since COVID. We do have staff on site, and you know they know their protocol for cleaning the bathrooms. The public bathrooms are now open, so we have our own set of protocols that we're going to follow, as does the race organizers.
Any further discussion or questions?
Just to follow up,
Mr.
Mayor,
Burnett?
do we have sign off from the health department on this event, or is that something that we should look into?
I don't think it was ever a necessity in the past. I have been in contact with the health department in terms of our overall events, and they didn't require sign off on individual events unless, of course, it fell under their guidelines with food service or things like that. I mean, it is something we could look into if that's the direction you want to go.
Mr. Burnett?
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, it just sounds like I understand the urgency that the event is coming up, but I have a sense that all the I's haven't been dotted and the T's haven't been crossed on this. And yes, this event has occurred for 43 years, but not during COVID. So this being the first event, large event that we're actually going to have in Norwalk, and it doesn't seem like what's coming before us has been completely vetted, especially from a health standpoint. And that's the level of concern that I have. Once we approve this and it takes place, it's going to be hard to push back on other events because this is going to now set the precedent for the season to come. I would have liked to have had the health department kind of say, yes, we've looked at all of the precautions that they're going to take from both the event provider and the park and rec department, and say, yes, we're okay with this event taking place. But it doesn't sound like we have that information in front of us right now.
Just as an aside,
I'm sorry. So clearly you are correct about that, Greg. And of course, this is not the example we want to set, but as we said, that this did come to us late. I know that, and maybe Donna, you know how far they are with their permit, who's signed off on it. if you could share some of that after Ken says what he was going to say. I'm sorry, Ken.
Yeah, I just wanted to say for the past month or so, we've been running successfully our Little League leagues, our youth soccer program. At Vets Park on Saturdays and Sundays, we have over 450 children. And we're in contact with the organizers as we are of this event. So they're aware of the guidelines. They are aware that the pandemic is still around. I'm not sure if we do need to get the health department involved on every single event. Like I said, I can't have that conversation with their director to see her thoughts. But anybody that has an event under the Rec and Parks Department are well aware of the guidelines and the things that we, expect as a department. And knock on wood, so far we've been successful.
I think also that it's in keeping with the new guidelines relative to outside events. The numbers of people that are expected to attend are 300. And I believe Mr. Hughes indicated that they will be wearing masks and practicing social distancing. I will probably be there that morning and observing, and we'll be in touch with the race organizers. Ms. Smith, I think you had a hand raised.
I think you just answered my question, Mayor. Is it 300 runners, or like how many people are signed up to run? How many people are expected as spectators? I mean, I think that in terms of the health aspect, I think the runners will be fine, and I don't imagine there would be many spectators. It's a total of 300. A total of 300 runners.
That's the estimated number, 300 runners and walkers. It's a run plus a walk. And so, yeah, it's a total of 300. I suspect, I'm not sure, we can never be sure, that some people will not feel comfortable coming. And I suspect that the numbers that people estimate based on past experience will probably be a little bit smaller, but I can't say for certainty.
And typically they don't draw spectators.
Okay, thanks.
Ms. Revoluz and then Mr. Livingston.
So my quick question, I'm actually quite happy because I'm looking towards a more holistic Norwalk. Getting people in motion and physically active is actually a great way to push health and holistic care. My question to you is this. Is there any way though that runners, especially, I know you said at some point they could remove, but can we do face guards so people are properly breathing while running instead of this? Like, can we have the face guards that they can cover and run?
I think that's an individual choice because the city doesn't normally provide.
Okay, so that's okay. That's my
choice.
only true concern about if you're running and you're like
Right.
this versus a mask, like the guard. But I'm actually happy that we're thinking about this because of the one best way to get people healthy out here is getting them back to physically working their bodies. So I'm actually kind of happy this is being discussed.
Thank you. Mr. Livingston?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a question for Ms. Young. So a couple meetings ago, when we first started opening up a little bit, you read a statement. I mean, can you remind us what that said? Because did that cover this issue in terms of what we were?
I think that that's part of the liability and that the city has the right to cancel events. I don't have that specific language right in front of me. But it does give the city the right to deny an event.
Yeah, but did it also, I'm just trying to think of the words, did it require that the organizations comply with the?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yes.
yes.
Okay, so we've already covered that in a prior meeting then, in essence.
Well, this didn't go through the normal process and have that language verbalized. And so I don't know where they are in this application process to be
Will you do
truthful
me a
with you.
favor? Could you bring me my phone? I
I'm
need
sorry?
to call Deanna. Yeah, it's over there.
It's the mayor speaking.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
I have the language if you want to
You
hear
have
it.
it? Do you have it? Thank
Yeah,
you.
I have it handy.
It's in the contract that they just agreed to.
Okay,
with
that's,
Birmingham.
okay.
The
It's
city
all
of
in there, 'cause the
Norwalk,
It's all in
the
there.
law department wrote it all up. So it's embedded in that contract that they just agreed to and signed off on. And they actually, so you know, have the permit. Because this came up after the fact.
Right.
Wait, I'm sorry. So they have the permit already?
Yeah,
So-
this isn't about the permit. This is about your committee. This meeting tonight is not about the permit. The only reason the committee knows about it is because they came for a permit. And as it went through the process, questions were asked. Traffic wanted to know, traffic said, okay, we'll agree to this. Has it gone through the council? And then it, went over to Darling. It's a long and winding road, let's put it that way.
Right.
And a lot of the departments have already signed off on this.
Right. So in transparency, by the time it got to me, they were in the process of starting the permit. And Donna reached out and said, okay, let's do this. And so this is where we are. And that's why I said that this is not the way that we want to do things. And I think and hope that it's been made clear to the organization that next year that we will, that this won't happen.
And for the rest of this year, because they have a lot of races.
Absolutely.
Mr. Hoovelman.
So I'm sorry. So this has been done for 43 years. So 43 years in the past, this would have gone to Councilwoman Young's committee.
Recreation.
And
Parks, right.
then it would have been eventually moved to the council. And they know this process. So why are we sitting here 4 or 5 days before this event doing this now with a group that seems to know how to do this already, correct? So I'm having an issue. I'm just having an issue with this feeling like, as Councilperson Burnett said, we're setting up a precedent that, if we don't get everything done in the right time, we can get the council to call a special meeting and we'll get it passed and get it done. And I think it's a precedent.
I suspect, and I may be wrong, I believe they were not planning on having the event and probably didn't have enough time or didn't go through the proper procedure because they decided within the past week or so to go ahead and have the event based on the what is happening around the state and around the country with relaxing some of the restrictions and allowing outside gatherings of larger numbers. So that's what I suspect may have happened. I don't think because for 43 years, they've done it the right way. I don't think that there was any intention on their part to try to circumvent the process. I think that they just decided probably within the past week or 2 weeks to have the event. Mr. Hughes, could you clarify that or?
Yeah, I think they were surprised how fast the outdoor regulations sort of opened up. So I don't think there was a plan January, February for them to have it this year. But then as things started to progress for the better, I think they made a collective decision to have the race. And then by that time, they were behind the 8 ball.
Mr. Livingston.
I just wonder if in order to move this along, can we just make our approval conditional upon sign off by the health department?
Yeah, I just tried to call Deanna and they're doing a vaccination clinic tonight at the Sono Regent. I certainly will contact her if that's going to be what the council desires. I will contact her to make sure that this race is being held within the guidelines. And if necessary, we'll have somebody there at the race event other than me, someone who can be there to enforce whatever issues they need to enforce.
I'm in agreement with that.
Ms. Shanahan?
Yeah, I'd be happy to amend the motion to make that point. So just to amend Nick's motion to say that subject to the health department approval.
Okay, Ms. Young has moved the item. Mr. Sachinelli, I'm sorry, has moved the item. Ms. Shanahan has conditioned the issue on health department approval. So I think we probably have to vote on the amendment first.
Hey, Mayor. Mayor, this is
Yes?
Mario Polo. Just one thing, I thought somebody said they wanted to have someone from the city other than you, Mayor, who I assume, Mayor, you'll be racing in it.
No, I'm not
Someone
racing.
someone other than you, they're just monitoring on behalf of the city.
That
So
was me
the-
that said that. That was me that
Okay.
said that. And I said, if it was
So-
necessary, I will definitely have that happen.
Okay, so that doesn't need to be part of the motion then. Okay.
So Ms. Shanahan made an amendment to the original motion. I think we have to vote on the amendment. So all in favor of the amendment first, signify by saying aye.
Tom Keegan, yes.
Okay, opposed? Any abstentions? Now a vote on the motion as amended. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in
Can we-
favor?
Can we just have a restate of the motion, please?
Okay. Ms. Shanahan?
That the event occur subject to the health department's approval and any requirements that they have of the event organizers. Does that cover it, everybody?
So can I ask a question for clarity? Does that mean that they have to sign off on it within the next 3 days or 2 days? Or like,
Tomorrow.
how does that
Before
work?
the event, I will have,
Okay, so boom,
I
boom.
will talk to Deanna Diamore this evening and get her tentative approval and make sure that she's comfortable based on the guidelines that are now in place for gatherings of this size.
And if the approval is not given, these people would have already set up and did everything they needed to do and it would be done if not approved.
They won't be setting up until Sunday morning.
Copy.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion as amended, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Tom
Aye.
Keegan, yes.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. The motion carries, and I will make sure I touch base with the health department this evening and tomorrow. And we will send out a notice to the council as to the status of the race as of that point.
Thank you.
Motion
Mayor.
to Ms. Shanahan, quickly.
I beat her. Motion to adjourn.
Okay, Ms. Young, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you all. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
You well.
Thank you all.